we kind of veered off of this. I was asking how me or Andrew or the show is woman-hating. I did not get an adequate response.
Because I'm a woman and I've shared a lot with you, and it's never been met with any sort of understanding or empathy. It's only been met with hostility and like this weird commitment to not understanding me.
I don't want to reuse the words you precisely used. You said that you went home and wanted to harm yourself because of your experience on the show?
No, I was saying that if I was less emotionally stable, I could see how I would do that.
We've had over 1,000 people on the show. They're all fine.
When you sexually assault
They're
men,
fine?
couldn't that be the result of that too?
Could it?
Couldn't it be the result when you sexually assault men?
Did you feel in danger?
Yeah, well, yeah, of course, yes. Of course, any woman who's not my wife, who in any way tries to put sections of her body near me like that in a sexually provocative way, it's fucking dangerous as hell, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm just
horribly dangerous.
I'm just curious. Had Andrew done something similar and he like exposed himself?
Yeah, went over and just whipped it out. That would have been okay.
I would be comfortable with that.
Oh my God.
Do you think most women would?
I'm not most women.
Right, but Andrew's not like you.
Because here's the thing.
Andrew's not like you.
But here's the thing. That's not passive aggressive. That is you literally showing me exactly what you're trying to do. When you use psychological tactics and emotional manipulation based off of my trauma responses, that is passive aggressive. That is then you trying to manipulate and hurt me. I would literally rather you pull down your pants and put your dick in my face. Then I know what I'm dealing with. I did not know what I was going to be dealing with in the last show.
Yeah,
so it felt like that's what I'm saying. It felt like a manipulation and an emotional rape
yes,
because I did not know. I thought I was
Yeah.
literally coming on a dating podcast.
So I can understand from the perspective of saying that you'd rather see immediate action other than what you would consider to be passive aggressive or manipulative.
I would just rather see put your cards on the table.
So other than manipulative tactics, right? When you're saying manipulative tactics, you're saying you would much rather see somebody be physically aggressive.
Yes.
Sure, I can understand that. That at least makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But isn't it also a form of passive aggressive manipulation to say, because I have trauma responses to perceive things, you don't know anything about me, there was no way for you to ever determine what these trauma responses would be, that me just having a normal conversation with you like I would anybody else on this show and have done 1,000 times, isn't that a form of manipulation?
Well, you had disclosed to me that you were not affected emotionally by anybody.
So
really.
did you. Same thing you said.
I'm deeply emotionally affected by people.
No, what you said to me was, you said, listen, this isn't a big deal, right? This conversation in this context doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me. That's what you said.
When?
But you said, this doesn't matter. I have no respect for you. And if I was a less emotional person, I would have gone home and off myself. I can handle it, right?
No, I was not saying that I had no emotion. I was saying if I had less emotional intelligence and tools to process those emotions, I could understand with this bullying that people experience, which I had not honestly experienced anything like this before. Nothing like it at all.
Yeah, I've never experienced anything like that either.
Yeah.
I never experienced a woman
welcome
trying
to
to
club.
sexually assault me.
So now at least I feel like we're on the same playing field.
Yeah, no, it's not the same playing field to physically sexually assault somebody versus your perception of guy made argument which hurt my feelings, therefore he emotionally raped me. That's
Okay.
absurd.
Okay.
That's like not in the same universe.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. On tiered logic, right? It's just not the same.
You win? You want me to tell you win?
I mean, yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, say Andrew.
So all I'm trying to do is literally get to the point of, do you want me to get on my knees and submit?
No. All I want you to do is engage with the arguments. That's it.
So that you can fuck with me?
No, so I can understand your worldview.
So you can monetize fucking with me?
No, so that I can understand your worldview.
You understand my worldview.
Really?
That's why you're
every
picking
time
it
I ask
apart.
you a question about it, I lead to the next, to the next, to the next, and I still don't actually get coherent answers.
Maybe that's well thought out on my part.
Oh, yeah, I stole your pen. It's well thought. So you don't want to tell me what your ideology is?
I don't want to tell my brain that you give a shit about understanding me because it's not actually true.
Yeah, listen, I would not be here if I didn't give a shit about other
False.
people's worldviews.
False.
No, it's not false.
False.
I promise you I
What's
would
your
not
job,
be here.
Andrew? What's your credentials?
I'm a robotics mechanic.
A robotics mechanic? What's your degrees in?
I don't have a degree.
How are you a robotics mechanic and you don't have a
Because I had
degree?
an apprenticeship, and it's a trade.
Okay, so similar to life coaching, let's say?
No, it's not similar to life coaching, let's say.
It's a trade, though.
Yeah, it's a real trade.
So life coaching is not a real trade?
I don't know.
Do people make a living doing it?
Sure.
So what is your definition of a trade?
So to me, a trade apprenticeship would be like an applied skill. So
life coaching isn't an applied skill?
no, I don't think it's a
So why would you
physical
have to
applied
go? Why
skill.
would you have to go to a trade school to learn how to do it then? If it's not a skill that you have to learn
I'm not sure
and
that
apply.
those are trade schools. I'm not sure.
Give me the definition of a trade. Aren't you learning how to a skill to perform a trade that you can monetize?
Yeah, but they couldn't. I mean, that would fall under anything, though, right?
Anything that you can monetize and you have to learn how to do it, I would call that a trade skill,
Okay.
right?
Well, I mean, if that's your definition, I'll concede to the definition.
Okay, so I am. So you have no degrees in psychology. You have no ministry degrees. You've never been to any ministry
Those
school.
are just appeals to authority.
Appeals to authority. So you
Why would that
want,
matter?
So you want me to appeal to your authority, yet you literally
Not
have
asking you to
a two-year
appeal to an authority.
two-year training program in how to do robotics?
No. What does that have to do with anything? Let's assume that you know what? Let's
The
assume
point
this.
is, you're arguing
Let's
with me
assume
about
I was a
psychology,
7th grade
spirituality,
Yeah.
and all of these things that I've literally at least gone to trade schools
So
for.
what?
What have you done?
What would that matter? Let's say I was a 6th grade dropout and I cleaned carpets for a living and was a coomer on the internet who had an open relationship with my wife. Let's say that was my background. In what world would it make me wrong to question the things that you say if you're wrong about them, regardless of whatever my degrees were in?
Because you are questioning my authority as a psychologist when
So?
you're not a psychologist.
Why do I need to be the thing to question the thing? It's like
If
saying you
you-
can't question the medication your doctor gives you unless you're a doctor. Like what?
Questioning is one thing, but having the condescendence to actually believe that you are right over what I am trained to be right in, that's a little crossing a line, I would say.
What's the line that you're crossing?
Your tone.
The tone? It's the wrong tone?
Because am I
tone police
I am
you?
actually the authority in everything that you're talking about psychologically and spiritually and scholastically. So you need to get yourself in line and question me as a student of those things. Because
Okay.
I'm actually the teacher. You're the student.
Well,
Mr. Boulay donated $100. Communique from the Inquisition Patriarchy. Grand Inquisitor, have you received the autographed blue-white cup with certificate of authenticity? I am performing an audit of our inventory.
not yet.
Thank you, Mr. Boulay, but no.
Appreciate it, Mr.
I don't
Boulay.
know what that even means.
It doesn't have anything to do with this. It's
Okay.
like a show inside joke. But anyway,
Okay.
yeah, so by this metric, right, if somebody, let's say, is a boat maker, right, and they make for you a boat, and you say, hey, it doesn't fucking float, and they go, don't question me, I make boats.
So let me ask you something. Do you heal people's trauma?
I'm not so sure that you can heal anybody's trauma.
Yeah, you can. You can.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
then how come you haven't healed your own?
I literally have.
Well, then why do you keep on talking about how you're fucking traumatized all the time?
Because trauma is an ongoing thing that we continually have to process.
So you just re-traumatized every day?
Yeah, and then I have to process it every night. And that's how I don't continue it on to the next day. Remember, the Bible says don't go asleep,
So
don't
every
fall
day
asleep on your anger.
you're re-traumatized, and then every day you heal yourself of your trauma?
Yes, every night before I go to bed.
Every night. Okay,
Yes.
so all of your old traumas that you keep appealing to as being problematic, right? Divorces, things
Well,
like this. You've healed from all of those,
bigger
right?
catastrophic traumas take a little bit more time. They're more complex. They don't take one night. But for example,
Well, how many nights do they take?
it just depends.
Okay,
Do you want to talk about a specific trauma and how long it took me?
So how do you heal your trauma of your divorce? How would you heal that?
The divorce wasn't the trauma.
What was the trauma?
Being with the man.
Okay, how would you heal that?
It's been very hard.
So
Getting
it's not
away.
healed?
Well, it is healed in the sense that, do you really want to go into it? It's really dark.
Well, when you say healing, no, what I want to get into is this idea of healing trauma. When you say,
So-
do you heal trauma? And I go, I'm not sure you can heal trauma. You go, well, you can. And I say, well,
Do you want me
if
to
you
explain
can,
to you?
it's like saying,
There's a protocol in my book. Do you want to talk about how it's done?
which part of your book?
Here, let me-
Just tell me the chapter.
Oh, here, I'll have to find it. Well, I need the book to look at the chapter. Oh, here, I'll use this one. Okay, I created a protocol to explain to you how to do it.
GMD Jim donated $100. This is precisely the result of the closure of asylums back in the 80s. We now embrace this stuff. Honey, you are not trained, you have been indoctrinated by other crazy people.
Okay, so here on page 57, my method, processing severe trauma. Do you want me to read you the couple pages? It's only 2 pages, it looks like.
Or you can just give me a summarization.
Well, I'd just rather read it.
Okay.
Okay, so my method, processing severe trauma. In my relentless study of anthropology, sociology, and the psychology of various individuals, I had come to realize that it was never the actual events, situations, or words spoken that traumatize people, for the most part. Rather, it was their uncontrolled, obsessive mental recalling of the situation, then the meaning they assigned to it all that really had the power to either chronically or just acutely traumatize the person. In other words, there was a reason some people were just deeply shaken and grieved by certain things, but then seemed to move on just fine, while others seemed to get stuck, severely traumatized for a lifetime. It had nothing to do with how bad, quote unquote, the traumatic event was or not. It had to do with how the person felt and then handled it after the fact. As I mentioned previously, I
where's
asked the
actual
infinite.
method?
As I mentioned previously, I asked the infinite to show me a way to process the loss of Steve and how to get rid of the graphic images from that night so that I wouldn't get PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, or any other long-term negative effects. Once I asked the question, I started receiving inspired thoughts that ended up being the practical step-by-step solution to this problem. I had been trying to help people recover from abuse and other traumas for years and never actually believed it was possible. Up until then, I believed the best people could do was learn to cope with their traumas so they didn't completely ruin their lives. Holding on to that belief created the reality for me by shutting my RAS off, so that's the reticular activating system, to any contradictory information, hence a confirmation bias. But now my mind was unlocked and I was asking my higher, infinite self better questions and believing there had to be a way. This is what was downloaded into my mind from the infinite. Okay, this is the method that came through.
Okay.
Place a meaning on the event that feels good, no matter how far you must reach. Remember how I told you that the meaning we place on events is very powerful and completely within our power. I decided I would believe that everything had happened exactly as it was supposed to. With Steve, my unborn baby, my marriage, my kids, and my old life that had come to an end, I also chose to believe this about all the rest of things, including my childhood and being born to my parents in the dysfunctional family. I would believe it all happened as it was supposed to. I would believe that I was an infinite spiritual being who had chosen to incarnate into this human existence because there were things that I wanted to experience that would deepen my understanding and love for myself, for life, and for other souls.
Hang on,
I would
let's stop for a
believe that my
second.
williness to have
we
these
stop for a second so I can go over some of this?
experiences and let them deepen me.
Is it just gonna be
would
a
give
fucking
me
book
gifts.
reading?
Yes, I told you that I would be able to share, and the sharing would feel really good to me.
She's just not going to stop.
These beliefs, I told you it was only
Now
2
it's a pride
pages.
thing.
These beliefs felt good and right and empowering. So I put them in my thought nursery to give them attention. And any opposing thoughts.
Okay, so Desiree, I don't know, you read the section that's pertinent to the conversation?
No, he wanted to know my process.
Yeah, but I got your process.
Okay,
No, you didn't. There's still more.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to move it on.
Your process is you ask God and cope. That's the process.
No, it's not. It's how to
You ask
release
the
the trauma.
infinite. The infinite is God, and then you
No,
cope.
I just told you. You have to You have to place a meaning on the event that feels good.
That's called cope.
It's not called
That's
cope.
cope.
It's
That's
called
literally
finding a
coping.
meaning.
That is doing everything you can
And then you have to grab-
take the event and pretend it's something other than what the event is.
No,
That is
it's
cope.
not. It's
Yes, it is.
agree to disagree. Grab a happy image and put it into the thought nursery. Now, if you read my book, you would know what the thought nursery is.
The thought
To
nursery.
dwell on for a few minutes. Let the better feelings associated with the happy image emerge. Breathe into these better feelings and savor them. I did this as many times a day as necessary. So what I would have to do is, so the image was of my friend dead on the table, basically blue, with intubated and everything. He died, and they made me go back and see him dead on the table. And his mom wanted me to delay the coroner from taking his body. That's the only reason I had to see him dead. I don't recommend people do that. There's no fucking point. But anyway, I had to go and see this man who died in my arms first, and then they tried to resuscitate him, obviously, intubated him. He's blue on the table. His mom,
Be freed.
I had to tell, Steve's dead. Well, I didn't tell her that, but I told her, I don't know, he's unconscious. She met me at the hospital, but on her way there, she was begging me to stall the coroner from taking his body because they wanted time for the brother to come and be able to see. I don't know why people want to traumatize themselves by doing this. Again, I don't recommend forcing yourself to see your loved one
But
dead.
that's not necessarily trauma. That's part of the closure process.
Okay, well, for some it is, but for a lot of people, they get stuck on those images. For me, I got stuck with him blue, intubated,
Yeah, but that's
dead on
because
the
people
table.
have a
So
disconnection between what is life
do you
and
want
what
to
is
hear
death.
how I got over that and
Yeah,
didn't
okay.
get
Move it
PTSD?
on.
Okay, yeah, we
I
got
gotta
to
move-
move to the
I
next
gotta
point.
move
But
it
before
on.
we do, I'd like to stay on this point, right? So people have a huge disconnection from what is life and what is death. Not everybody, and by the way, people used to have to deal with death a lot more. They used to have to deal with dead bodies a lot more, things like this. I don't think that it's ingrained to be traumatic necessarily. It's something that people just don't really have to deal with very much. So it becomes not personal. It always becomes somebody else's dealing with it. You're just dealing with a memory. But the thing is that when you say things like, take this thing that actually happened and put a fun, happy spin on it, so it's something that you remember fondly instead, that is an embrace of delusion. So how's that not cope?
If I can have a bit of some like extended.
Sure.
So we kind of veered off of this. I was asking how me or Andrew or the show is woman hating. I did not get an adequate response.
Because I'm a woman and I've shared a lot with you, and it's never been met with any sort of understanding or empathy. It's only been met with hostility and like this weird commitment to not understanding me. And
Couldn't I just say the same thing to you?
sure,
No empathy, no understanding.
sure. If that's how you feel.
So can you, I mean, what's that Aristotle quote about crying? Okay, so
Crying is one of the ways
It's-
that the body processes the trauma in real time. That way we don't hold on to it.
or is it a way to appeal to emotion to try to get people onto your side without actually having a strong foundation or position for what you're actually trying to say and argue?
That is a way that people who lack genuine empathy, that is a way that they use appeared emotion to manipulate others, but my emotion is actually genuine.
Okay, well, I don't see how that has anything to do with a woman hating.
I'm a healer. As women were gifted with special abilities to take on.
I'm just, look, these are words that you said.
GMD Jim donated $100. Trust not a woman when she weeps, for it is her nature to weep when she wants her will Socrates.
Socrates, yeah.
Okay, well, if you're not comfortable with me crying, I'm going to have to go because some of the things
I
we're
mean,
talking
if
about
you want
makes
to
me cry.
if that's fine. I'm still just trying to understand, aside from how you felt, if there's something you can point
I don't
to.
think that you are trying to understand anything. I think that you are trying to bring a point across. So just say what your point is that you would like to prove, and then I can just submit, and we can move on.
I'm not really sure if that's what I'm trying to do, but earlier in the show, you said that me and Andrew are woman-hating. The show is woman-hating. So I'm asking you to point to something specific.
I keep
Andrew-
doing it, and you don't want to accept it. So I don't see the point in continuing the conversation. I told you that I am a woman, and I didn't feel safe, and I don't feel safe in your presence. Hence, woman hating, because I am a representative of woman.
Well, so if I'm a man and I feel uncomfortable in your presence, does that mean you're a man-hater?
You can say that if that's how you feel.
Does it make it true? Would you agree or disagree with that statement?
That I am a man hater?
Because I feel unsafe in your presence.
I would validate if that's how I made you feel. At least.
But would it make you a man-hater? Or would you be like, no, I'm not a man-hater?
Possibly.
Because of how I made you feel.
If man is taking your form, then
I
yes.
am male. I am a male.
If man is taking your form, then yes, there is hatred there, because it's not you as a soul, it's you as an ideology coming at me and not inviting me to feel safe in your presence.
Didn't you so me and Andrew were sitting here.
Mm-hmm.
We were sitting down. We were just talking. At moments, it was a lively conversation, but we were remaining in our seats. Was it Andrew, or was it me, or was it you who got out of their seat, came all the way over here, got into our physical space, and I mean, Andrew's sitting to my left. Who was that? Was that us or was it you?
It was me invoked by you. You invited me to...
I invited you
Yes.
to
Yes.
walk over and get into our physical space.
Yes.
How did I... So you're saying we consented to that?
I am saying that you didn't give a shit about my personal space emotionally, so I didn't
What?
give a shit
Hold on.
about your physical space.
That
so
doesn't make any sense
I
at all.
gave you a taste of your own medicine, and you didn't like it.
So what was the point you were trying to prove?
Give you a taste of your own medicine,
What
and
was
so
the medicine which we were dispensing?
you could feel what it feels like to be
What was the
disrespected.
medicine you claim we were dispensing?
Disrespect.
This conversation, while we disagree, has actually been fairly, I mean, there were times where it got a bit heated, but it's otherwise been fairly
In times where
calm.
there was sexual assault. Let's not forget that.
I like Celsius
In any
too.
case, so when it comes to your safety, and this being evidence of woman-hating,
Yeah.
we've remained here. While you might disagree with what we say, you got out of your chair,
Yeah.
walked around the table. We didn't
Yeah.
know if you were going to strike us or what you were going to do.
You were scared. Did I scare you?
Why are you smiling when you say that? That's interesting.
Because it makes me feel more safe to know that
That-
maybe I have some sort of power in your presence.
You do realize women have capacity for violence?
I'm not a fighter, you could say.
Well, hold on. We don't know that. Like,
Well,
you could have come over here, smacked Andrew in
Ulysses
the
the
face.
Pagan donated $100. What did you think coming on a podcast debate meant? A debate is adversarial in nature. When you tone police, it equates to you have nothing to say and the purpose to derail the conversation.
So, I mean, can I ask you a question? So going back to you felt unsafe in the emotional space.
Yeah.
So you, as retribution, you wanted to make us feel unsafe in the physical space.
Correct.
And that's why you got out of your chair.
Correct.
Walked all the way around
Correct.
here. And I mean, we didn't know if you were going to try to strike Andrew.
Correct.
He's closer.
Correct.
But you essentially pulled up your
correct. Yes.
dress.
Yes.
And put
Yes.
your ass right in his
Yes.
space.
Yes. So I wanted you to understand the height of how you guys affect me emotionally and spiritually. It was like that.
So do you think other forms of, I
would rather you beat me. I would literally rather you punch me in the face.
Well, I'm not interested in doing that. So hold on. Would you say that even if I don't categorize what you did specifically as a violent act, using
Wilsons_wife donated $100. Wow, that was quite a journey. We've been through vibrations, colonialism, feminism, scam, black slave souls locked in sexy white bodies, spores, oh spores, tears, showing ass, riding Jesus D1CK.
All right, Wilson's wife, thank you, appreciate it. If somebody is making you feel unsafe in your mental or emotional space, saying, even not categorizing what you did as violence, is violence justified as retribution if somebody makes you feel unsafe? Physical violence makes you feel unsafe in the emotional or psychological space?
Yeah, it's called eye for an eye. You reap what you sow.
So, just so I understand this correctly, you would have also been justified to, for example, like try to physically assault Andrew in that moment also?
I believe I would, yes.
Right. Would you have been legally justified?
Yeah, I believe I could get away with it.
Megadeth 188 donated $100. This is what she does. She is the first to attack people personally, then she cries to gain sympathy.
Yeah,
She is a manipulator. That's why she told you she might harm herself.
Before you get up,
Sympathy and manipulation.
Bladder doesn't work
Okay.
for you.